My name is Gavin Evans, and today I'm going to talk about the worst movies of 2021 so far. Last week I talked about my most anticipated movies of the rest of 2021. Today I'm going to talk about the worst movies so far, and next week I'm going to talk about the best movies so far. There's going to be 6 movies, 1 being the worst, 6 being the best of the worst. And here we go.
And here we go.
In 6th place is Lockdown. This movie stars Anne Hathaway and Chiwetel Ejiofor, and they're both fine in the movie, but the rest of the cast is made up of all these cameos, and it's just super distracting, and this movie has no focus at all. There is not one cohesive plot from beginning to end. The first half is about this couple who's about to break up, but then due to quarantine they have to stay together, and the movie doesn't explore that in any funny, romantic, or thoughtful ways. And then the second the second half is a heist movie, not a good one at that. In fact, the second half really depends on this really bad joke of one of the false identities is Edgar Allan Poe. And at first, I thought it was just a throwaway joke, but then so much of the movie starts depending on it, and I'm just like, what is it doing? This movie is just a mess. It's not romantic, it's not smart, it's not funny, it's not entertaining. It's just a really bad movie, and I do not recommend it. In 5th place is a movie called Long Weekend, and the couple in this movie just had no chemistry to me. The acting seemed really forced, the chemistry didn't seem genuine, so that took me out of it to begin with. But then after like 25 minutes into the movie takes a ridiculous turn that even if I was to tell you what it was, you wouldn't believe me. And the movie doesn't do anything with it. It doesn't explore it. It doesn't add anything. It's just a weird quirk for the sake of it. And then about an hour into the movie, there's another weird twist that thinks it's really smart, but it added nothing to the movie. And it's just a movie that thinks it's a lot smarter and a lot more different than it actually is. And it's just a very, very bad movie. Do not recommend it. The 4th worst movie of 2021 so far is America the Motion Picture. This movie is everything I could have wanted it to be on paper, in concept. But in actual execution, this movie completely falls flat. There is not a single laughable moment except maybe the end. But that's as much praise as I can give the movie. There's so many ridiculous, crazy, over-the-top ideas, and I should have loved it, and the writing just wasn't there. The delivery just wasn't there, and this was a huge disappointment to me. In 3rd place is Moxie. This is the movie that's trying so hard to have lots to say, to be social commentary, but it lacks any depth. It's a very shallow portrayal, and it just did not work for me whatsoever. And in fact, the main character was a really bland protagonist, and while I was watching the movie, I actually felt like the main character was the wrong person. There's another character who was much more interesting and who would have been a much better character to focus on. So why the movie decided to focus on the character they do focus on is just baffling to me. There's a romance that you don't buy. It's not funny, it's not smart, it's not thoughtful, the acting is bad, the writing is awful, and it's just trying so desperately hard to be, look how important this message is, look how important we are, and it just completely falls flat in every possible way. So that's Moxie at number 3. The second worst movie of 2021 so far is Army of the Dead. This should have been a dumb, fun movie, but it takes itself so seriously. There's no energy to it. It doesn't really explore its premise in any fun or exciting ways. The acting isn't good, the characters are poorly written, the action isn't good, and it's 2.5 hours long, and it's way longer than it should have been. And also, so much of the movie just sets up for a franchise, for a sequel, and it just takes me out of the movie when they do that. I just thought this was a really terrible movie, and not any fun at all. For, like, a bank heist in Vegas during a zombie apocalypse, this should have been like one of my favorite movies of the year so far, but I really hated it and I didn't have a good time with it. And the worst movie of 2021 so far, drum roll please, this is gonna be such a controversial pick. It's actually the best picture winner of the year.
And the Oscar goes to Nomadland.
I hated this movie. I do not understand the love or the praise it received. I thought this was a terrible, terrible movie. Why wasn't this movie a documentary? I don't understand that. This movie has Frances McDormand pretending to be homeless, while all the other characters in this movie are actually homeless. So it just feels so disingenuous. Like, look at me, I'm a rich Hollywood actress, but I'm going to pretend to be homeless around you guys. It just feels a little disrespectful. And then I don't know how much of this movie is actually scripted. Like, when the homeless tell their stories, is it scripted or is it their actual experience? Because if it's the actual experience, I think the movie's doing them a disservice because it appears to be in a fictionalized movie. So is this movie trying to focus on all these homeless individuals, or is it trying to tell a story about Fawn, I think was her name, who's living who's homeless? Like, what's it trying to be? Is it trying to be fictional or non-fictional? Because it fails completely at both, and I just think this movie is a complete mess. And on top of all of that, it is incredibly slow, it's incredibly boring, and there's just nothing here. Like, it is just such a terrible movie. I hated it. I think it's actually the worst Best Picture winner I've ever seen. Yes, it's even worse than Crash. I hated this movie. Okay, so what are your worst movies of 2021 so far? Do you think I'm crazy for putting the movie that was actually deemed to be the best movie from January 2020 to February 2021 as the worst movie of 2021 so far? If so, let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.